Now.
Now?
We're live.
Hold on.
Live. She sells.
I gotta get some levels real quick.
By the seashore.
Why not?
Seashells by the seashore.
All right.
Do you remember that one theme song we have, right? That we're using right now?
Does it go like this?
That's the one. Yeah, that's a. For those of you watching along at home, it's the sword, and it's really, really rocking shit.
Yeah.
Really rocking shit.
Totally.
We just have to take our words for it.
Totally rocks.
Because if we put it on YouTube, they take it right down.
That's
right.
right. Yeah. Luke Cage season 2 soundtrack's awesome.
Right,
A lot of reggae.
Yeah.
So
That's the opposite.
Check.
no, it's great.
Oh,
reggae.
speaking of which, our buddy is at Reggae on the Rocks right now. I'll bring that up later. Or no, it's not Reggae on the Rocks. He's at the Chautauqua Theater in Boulder.
For what?
For some fucking reggae thing.
See, yeah, that's not much reggae that I'd actually go out with.
What?
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. All right, we ready to do this?
Mhm.
Okay. I'm ready.
Oh shit! I was ready.
Oh, wow, you got flaccid,
I
bro.
broke my shit.
Come on, Dan.
Snyder calls you a premature ejaculator today. Did you see that?
Well, he's not wrong.
Hey, as you get older, you know
Things happen.
Things happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I did buy some little blue pills.
Wow.
Mexico, though. They're fun.
We are all men in their 40s.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Wait. Are you ready?
I'm ready. You going?
Hit it.
Come on.
Ow! Live from the Sportique Studios, where we're really fired up about the uncut. God damn it. Fuck this! Alright, start over.
God damn it! Why?
Because I stumbled
through
up.
it.
No, I refuse. Started. I'm a diva. I want this right. This is a really good open line. I don't want to fuck it up. God damn it!
Where's my W?
Woo! Live from the Sportique Studios, where we're really fired up about the upcoming season of Better Call Saul. This is the South Stand's Denver Fan Cast. I'm Colin Daniels with producer Scott Stafford. From the Colorado Sports Guys, the king of the Nuggets beat and the prince of North Glen, Jeffrey Morton. And your host, John Reed. We on three. 1, 2, 3. Beat it.
Oh yeah, here we go. Here it is.
Bring it up.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah!
God damn.
We're live on YouTube.
Oh man.
Hopefully you're tuning in for that.
They can't hear this Kyle Freeland pose, everybody. Hey.
And we're back. It's good times. We got a lot to talk about because we've got hot Rockies action. We've got hot Denver Broncos action.
The Rockies action's so hot.
Oh, it's so hot.
My handsome rock boys.
You're handsome rock boys. Yeah, I like
Oh
My
my
handsome
goodness
hot rock
gracious.
boys. I took someone from Deadspin. I saw him do that. He called them rock boys. I love
Okay.
my rock boys.
Well,
he says.
speaking of
I
handsome,
love my rock boys. I love
handsome
my
rock
handsome
boys, we've got our handsome round rock boy right here for the basketball. Not that you're round. I'm talking about the basketball. I'm talking about the basketball. Yeah.
Far less round than
Far less
last
round
time.
than the last time you were probably in here. So, Jeff Morton, welcome back.
Thank you, John.
It's been you've been here many times before.
times.
We've always had a great time chatting with you, so we're glad to have you.
I'll try to keep this one like within a reasonable time because every time I'm on, it goes like an hour and a half.
Yeah, usually.
Has Jeff been here more than Reno? He's second.
Ooh,
though,
he's
right?
getting there. He's getting there. Yeah.
He's not number one.
believe
He's number
this is
two.
if we're counting the super pods, this is my 7th time.
Wow. Holy shit.
I'm glad somebody's keeping
I'm glad
track.
somebody's keeping track of that because I wasn't. But it's great to have you. You've been talking about this the last couple days. And you're just so everyone knows, if they're not familiar with your work, Colorado Sports Guys, you cover the Nuggets. You've covered the Nuggets for years. You're a basketball expert. We could probably talk some Nuggets. Maybe I don't know. Colin likes to talk about. No, there's nothing really to talk about at this point. But you have been talking about this in how you've stopped writing.
Yes.
And I really relate to this because I basically stopped writing too because it's a pain in the fucking ass.
Yeah.
It really sucks. You have to. I mean, it takes a lot of work to write something that's halfway decent, and it is easier to sit here and talk about it instead of having to get your thoughts organized and write about it. And I just wanted you to kind of expand on that.
Well, basically, I came to the conclusion, and this was ramping up as I hit the age of 40. That
Now we see.
You had a serious midlife crisis.
Yeah,
at 40.
this is I really do, and you're right, Colin. I think I did, and I think it's still ongoing. But I reached the point where I'm like, you know what? I have a niche of what I write about, and you know what? I'm sick and fucking tired of repeating myself. And it was just happening over and over and over.
It's hard to do that every time.
And then what was happening was each article I would write, it was a harder venture for me to go into. And each one was getting more and more hard for me to even have any enthusiasm for. And I couldn't do it anymore. And it hit me one day, and I'm done. And if anyone's noticed this year, I probably only wrote like 3-4 articles total at all. And I said, like, well, I might as well make it official and just do CSG podcast.
I think it's interesting, John, that you brought this up because just this morning I was having a conversation with your friend and mine on Twitter, Marcelo Duran, about Adam Caton Holland's new book, which I listened before I left for work this morning to a 5-minute segment that he linked on Twitter, and it took me another 8 minutes to leave the house because I was absolutely bawling.
It's his book. It's about his sister's suicide, and
it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough. And the segment that he posted on Twitter was tough. It was about the morning that he found his sister's body, and it's worth looking into. Really wonderful stuff. But I told Marcelo, John's one of the best writers.
Oh,
I know.
He's a great writer,
and it's a shame you're too busy making a living to write that novel. I know you've done that. I know you've started novels.
I've started a lot of stuff. Yeah, we all started a lot of stuff. But thank you for that. But Jeff's right. It's you're saying, especially sports writing, kind of saying the same thing over and over again. You're trying to find something new to write about. And I found myself just going just lacking any motivation to sit down and start. And it's really like going for a run, which fucking sucks. I hate running. I try to do it twice a week, and I hate it. You have to get on the treadmill, and you have to start running, and it's painful, and it sucks. And then when you get done with it and you actually produce something that you like, it's a very rewarding experience. You're like, oh, I'm glad I wrote that. It's very awesome. Getting there is fucking hard as shit now.
The last article I wrote was on Carmelo Anthony, and then it's so
funny.
No
wonder you.
So I finished it, and then I was reading through my old Denver Stiffs articles, and I'm like, oh my god,
you've written this 4 times.
I have written this before.
Yeah.
And actually, it's funny. I'm not a writer. I never considered myself a writer. I didn't go to school for it, and anyone who's read my work can tell this. And I got to the point where I'm like, what am I doing this for? I mean,
you know how many careers Carmelo Anthony has killed, and now he's killed.
He's killed Jeff. Now I remember that Nate Timmons, the great Nate Timmons, he had gone this way too. He finally said a couple of years ago, was like, I just don't want to write anymore. I'd just rather sit around and talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying radio is easy, but honestly, it is much easier than writing. And you can just sit around like this and talk about sports instead of having to create these cohesive thoughts and sentence structures and all that bullshit. So
just recently, as of fairly recently, we've got a new website, SouthStandCenter.com. It's new, and it's a WordPress interface. And I started playing with it. It's like, this is really fun. It's really easy.
It's nice. It's
It
very nice.
it is. It's really easy. It's really nice. And you can drag and drop, and it's pretty cool. So I started writing again. And I started with a piece that I was very lucky to have the opportunity to write. And it's beginning to garner national attention. I'm aware that people at national outlets have looked at it. I've heard a rumor that ESPN may be working on something like an Outside the Lines about the story, and that's the Broncos ownership story.
We will talk about that. We will get into that. I think that's.
But it's been
I
fun.
have thoughts on that, and
It's been fun getting back into tossing some shit at the board. And, you know, unfortunately, the unfortunate part for me has been in writing, and I know you've experienced this.
Yeah.
The more you learn about how the sausage is made, the harder it is to maintain your enthusiasm as a fan. And I'm experiencing that with the Broncos right now. Like, the Rockies are a welcome respite for me because the more I dig on the Broncos and the more I learn and the more I hear, the more I'm like, oh my God.
The Rockies might be and have probably been dysfunctional at times, but I don't think there's the gross, scummy underbelly that the Broncos
It
have.
seems a little less. I mean, if anything, what was their underbelly a few years ago was that they're too Christian. So it's a little bit
which
it's
has
a little
a
bit
problem,
different.
but yeah, that's almost like, hey, you're too squeaky clean.
We know it's funny. I was just thinking about this too because I was working before I decided to retire from writing on an article on the Rockies development that's going up across the street from Coors Field.
Yeah, the museum and all that. Yeah,
right next to the chop house.
where we
In
always
the
get
parking lot.
high all the
Right,
damn time.
That's our weed smoking
yeah, that's our
parking
weed
lot.
smoking spot. Damn it!
And I was
Not
gonna,
anymore.
I was going to do an article. This will segue nicely into the next section, but I was going to do an article on what the maybe KSC or whoever's owning it is going to do with the Elitch's development, and what the Broncos intend to do with the South Stands parking lot and have a development there. And
Do you think they'll move the stadium?
let's just say my cooperation that I got from a certain very prominent sports outlet was less than none.
They didn't want to.
They didn't want to know, and they didn't. They just like, no, we're not going to deal with you. I even had people helping me, and nothing. Just they didn't want to. They didn't even want to participate in any sort of.
Nobody wants to touch the Broncos.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to touch the Broncos at all, and it's really kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
And it especially with the ownership thing, which we'll talk about.
There's kind of a there's almost like a Trumpian parallel to the Broncos, where
There's a lot of Trumpian parallels with the Broncos.
in more ways than one. But they have a thing where they just kind of they do what they want, and whether it sucks or not. And somebody might go, hey, that kind of sucks. And then a bunch of people are going, no, it's totally fine.
Hey.
How dare you? How dare you say that about the Broncos and John Elway? And they're just sycophantic about it. It's
John,
crazy.
collusion's not a crime.
It's not a crime.
I've heard that a lot recently.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. I did want to say, though, before we get off the writing topic, is that website, it does look great. And Colin, I assure you, every week I go, oh, you know what, I should write something. And I go, and I convince myself, this is like on a Tuesday, and I go, I'm going to start writing again once a week. I'll start it on the weekend. I'll publish it on Monday. This is going to be fucking awesome. Fucking Sunday comes, I go, oh, shit. I didn't write anything.
Yeah.
But
I
it is.
think we should stop reading.
Just
Just have Siri read. Siri read my tweets.
Everything is
Siri
visual
read my email.
or audio. Is what
Oh, I bought Adam
That's it.
Caton Collins' book today on audiobook through Audible.
Yeah, it's but you know,
He makes money either way, so
that's great.
It's
I would like to
$28.
provide more content, but then I get to that point where I'm just like, man, it's the same old fucking thing. But there are good stories out there, like all this stuff we were just talking about. Like there's things that because the major media won't touch because they've been threatened, or they basically know if they dip their toe in that water, somebody's going to come and say,
Vance Joseph should get into the media because there's nothing he won't touch.
That's a good one.
Good point.
But we got plenty of stuff to talk about. And Jeff is going to regale us with the famous story that we can't decide if he's told on this show or not, but we've talked about it. His famous tale of when he was a child and he had a run-in with John Elway. And so we're gonna definitely get into that. Jeff can tell the whole thing. It's a fascinating story. It kind of tells you kind of how Elway really is. It really sums up his character, and I think everyone has a very glowing idea of him. And it's not quite what you think, what you see on TV and everything. So, but we'll get all into that, and we'll have a great time tonight. So, really glad to have Jeff here, and we're going to take our first break, and we'll be right back. Did you see this I had made? Did you see that? Oh, you saw that then. So.
Yeah. I think that's like the third time you've asked me.
Oh, is it? Sorry. I don't know who I've seen.
See, I'd much rather.
I'm thinking about making Pat Boland as a scumbag T-shirt.
Oh,
that would sell pretty well.
No.
It's akin to making fun of Jesus out here,
right?
Because if anything, Pat Boland has probably escaped scrutiny from a lot of this, where
he's a sympathetic character.
He is a sympathetic
What song were you looking for?
But there's a lot of people who do not like Elway and know he's kind of full of shit. But Pat Boland's kind of he's kind of held.
That's all it's right.
It's
but not to a certain friend of mine who has witnessed Pat Boland stuff. Oh, for a certain friend of mine.
Oh, seen some Pat Boland stuff.
Seen some Pat Boland stuff.
Well,
I guess he had him set up like dominoes on the road.
Oh.
I mean, wouldn't you if you were Pat Boland?
Yes, yeah. We heard a story that I will not repeat who it was about and who it was from, but there was a certain ex-athlete that everyone thinks is so great and was just like looking for hoes when he came to town. It was just like fucking ready to fuck.
Oh, I can tell you.
Oh.
That's the best part.
Well, there you go, Jeff. Are you gonna remember?
There was a certain former athlete who had a separate apartment, so he could have his side of
his strange.
Yeah,
his not so strange.
Yeah, that's so he had to. When you get that kind of money, I guess you just it's okay.
Denver athlete. Yeah, nice. You know what? Obviously, for us commoners, that's not going to work because most times, if you have a relationship, that's not really something that you can achieve that level. But if you are a famous, well-paid athlete, and that's what you set up for yourself, okay, I guess as long as everyone's understood that this is what's going on. Maybe their wife knows what's going on, but
I can't imagine that. But I also am part of the community that like has a different people just there's a lot of promiscuity. Let's just put it that way. So I'm not going to wag my finger.
Sure.
I'm going to say that I can't imagine having the money to have a separate home.
A hoe apartment.
Yes.
A hoe apartment.
A hoe apartment. I like it. A hoe apartment.
A hoe flat.
Go back to the hoe apartment.
A hoe condo.
I have not even listening to music lately, so I'm just.
Yeah, that sounds great to me, but that's never been on the table for me, and it's just nothing that sounds very complicated, and it sounds very a lot of drama in your life. And while everyone wants to get laid, that just seems like it's more trouble than it's worth.
That's why I do it.
Yeah.
But these are athletes that are on the road all the time. It's like it is a different world. And it's Scott Hastings, my good friend Scott Hastings, always tells me it's not real life. Just don't even think of it as real life. It is not real life. Everything surrounding athletes, there's nothing real about it.
No, that is a little microcosm unto itself. And,
yes.
And that's probably why a lot of athletes have issues if they get out of that life and they can't quite achieve that life anymore. They have some.
Absolutely. 110% on that.
Yeah. But if you were young and single and a fucking famous athlete, and that's maybe why a lot of them get in trouble, but why not? Just fucking rock it out. But then once you have a family and you got a bunch of mistresses, and that just seems like a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's like I just think,
That's why if you're a dude like that, you got to make sure your wife understands it.
and I bet there's a lot of guys.
There's a lot of guys.
I bet a lot of
Yeah.
guys do have that
Yeah.
arrangement. They're like, look,
No,
I'm going to go
absolutely.
out on the road for.
You're going to
4
have
games,
a beautiful home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna probably dip my whip. So just know, and
I'm coming home to you, sweetie.
Yeah, I'll come home to you, and that will stay over there. But then knock somebody up.
I guarantee you, Janet always heard that conversation.
Yeah.
She's like, John, I'm going to spread my seed in Kansas City.
Oh no, that's a no. That's a no. You don't spread any seed.
There are all these horse-toothed kids that are in their 40s in Kansas City.
You know Elway Big Saban, right? Yeah, of course. Hi, Internet.
Hi, internet. Hello.
I'm still trying to find music. Sorry, I haven't been listening to music. I've been busy working and stuff.
Well, so I got to do a read. We have a new sponsor, as you know.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
You should
you
know,
signed up
Scott.
for their website today,
Mm.
and
An old friend. An old sponsor. Yeah.
A new old friend.
and then questions. So you need the questions.
Question.
Yeah. Just give me a second here.
I could do it. It's the
It's
questions.
the questions, huh? It's the questions. What? It's the questions.
I'm waiting for
eh?
something to come to me here. Nothing really has yet.
Come to Butthead.
I see the Lizard King.
Part of the sunroom.
Wait, what? Weren't you talking about music before Scott got here? When you first walked in the door.
This is supposed to come to me quicker.
I told him I wanted Echo and the Bunnyman,
Ooh, I have an idea.
Porcupine, and either that or Part of the Sunrise.
You definitely got to gay it up for Morton. You do.
Well,
You
it's a
gay it
gay
up for
up
Morton.
for
There's the title of the show.
Gay it up for Morton. You have a new segment.
Not as a
We're gonna
gift
try
from
it.
Martin at all.
Oh, I do have a segment tonight, by the way, Scott. We're gonna need some good old fashioned TV news music for our headlines to yard lines. It's been a while. This one's pretty decent. It's pretty solid.
Are you sure?
No, never with you guys.
All
I laughed.
right. This is going to be a fun one. Oh, wait a second. I got to have the playlist.
Wait
Ay.
for the sky.
That's what happens when I'm. Tell you, it's been a rough few weeks for me. All right, let me get
Yeah,
back.
you look a little frazzled, buddy.
Dude, I haven't showered in 2 days. I don't
Wild-eyed.
think. Yeah. All right, let me.
Unkempt,
Totally unkempt.
unshaven.
Unshaven. Yeah.
But she's wearing a
Little
Captain
bit
Fantasy
smelly.
hat, so.
But you look great.
He's trying to intimidate people with Captain
I know,
Fantasy
right?
because he hasn't done any research. He
I've
wants
done
people to
nothing.
think he
I know.
has.
That's exactly. Well, you're exactly right.
I think the less research he does, the better off he is.
That's
Oh,
actually not
true. But you should at least know who's on what team and kind of get an idea of what their systems they're kind of running. You know what I mean?
I got this ring thing on my phone, so I know like when people are all over my house.
Right. Yeah, I've got the Kuno one.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
It's fucking up right now, bro.
What do you mean? Like someone enters your house and you know?
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
the
my
porch
yard.
light. You got a little porch camera.
Ooh, I just got. This was the backyard, so that's kind of frightening. Maybe a coyote just kind of hit.
Coyote.
It's sitting in there now. Bit alarming. All right, I'll check it out later. All right, you guys ready to rock this shit?
Red Rock. You let me know when you're ready.
Questions. Yep. Or no, first read, then questions.
All right,
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go.
We're happy here at the South Stands to welcome back an old sponsor and an old friend of ours, FootballGuys.com. That's right. It's draft season, baby. And if you want to be ahead of the game, sign up for FootballGuys.com. They've got sortable lists where you put in all your league settings and it gives you a cheat sheet so you can go to your draft with confidence. You can use the Draft Dominator, enter all the information, run it from your phone, run it from your iPad, footballguys.com. You got Sigmund Bloom. You've got Dr. Gene Bramall. You've got all the best advice in fantasy football. Not to mention the host of the Audible, the one and only Cecil Lammy. So pleased to have footballguys.com on board again for 2018. Please do tell them the South Stand sent you. Were Kenneth Farid's moms disappointed when they found out that he was arrested with 2 ounces of weed in the car after he had told them he was out? Did Adrian Peterson switch to the Redskins because his kid's skin was already skid red? Has Paxton Lynch earned a starting job at GameStop? Was it only natural that Chad Kelly would end up being the number 2 since he's been a piece of shit his entire life? Are the Broncos wide receivers beginning to get really sick and tired of Vance Joseph calling rub routes on every play? Rub routes. When he heard that the team would be wearing white on the road, was Vance Joseph like, oh, hell yeah, I will be, while slapping John Elway a high five? Scott, that's a good job. Are Adam Francis and A.J. Johnson really happy to play for an organization that really understands what they're going through? Will there be a parade for the Outlaws, who apparently won a championship in that sport they play?
They did?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
They did. Will 104.3 The Fan welcome Mike Evans back with open arms, since he was the only person there watching the Rockies for the past month?
No.
He was in the hospital. How much longer will it be before every adult American works for The Athletic? You have questions. We have answers. SouthStandsDenver.com, Colorado's finest internet sports talk since 1971!
So that thing about Kenneth Farid,
It's so funny.
these fucking guys, okay?
2 ounces of weed. Who needs 2 ounces of weed?
Dude, listen, unless you're smoking a lot of weed, you don't need 2 ounces of weed.
Apparently he is.
I barely smoke weed.
You know he's not selling it.
No.
He's got money. He doesn't sell weed.
Like, even if you smoked a lot of weed, I don't know, you get like a fucking quarter of
a
weed.
quarter a week? I mean,
Last
that's a lot of weed.
Yeah, that's a lot of weed. Especially how strong weed is. And
Yeah.
you get fucking high and just, I mean, you have to be burning so much weed. But here's the thing. These guys, so obviously he got busted in New Jersey because he's playing for the Nets now. He's playing for the Nets? Yeah.
He's playing for the Brooklyn Nets.
Brooklyn
But
Nets.
yeah, he was in New Jersey.
So he's in New
because of course he was.
Because you
He's
think,
Kenneth Farid.
you're like, hey, dude. Okay, obviously
He's the New Jersey of basketball players.
he was buying weed here. He had it, and her son was buying it for him. But then it's like, once you leave here, realize that you're not going to get away with it. Because if he got pulled over with a bunch of weed here, they would go, oh, well,
I
that's
think
legal.
2 ounces is like the maximum you can have
And-
here.
So.
And it'd be no big deal.
Yeah,
And it
no.
never would make the news, nothing, because
Well,
it's not
technically,
illegal.
it's still.
They might have still arrested him. He is black.
It's
Well,
true.
Look at it this way. It's like a football of weed. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
why
Get a
are
little
you-
closer.
Yeah,
Get
closer-
closer.
closer.
Yeah,
There you go.
There you go. That's it.
I thought I was loud talking.
Well, you know, it's a football of weed.
Sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
Sports. Two. Okay, so an ounce of weed is like this much in a bag.
It's
right?
like a quart size. An ounce is like a quart size Ziploc bag.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, so I hear.
If you pack
that full.
that full.
No, that's not. It's bigger.
It's a little bigger.
It's
Yeah,
bigger.
it's bigger.
So imagine you pack that full of fucking weed. It's hanging out the top, and then you have 2 of those. That's just so much weed. It
It's
doesn't
a
make
lot.
sense.
It's a ton of weed.
And if you were going to be like, hey, I'm getting weed for everybody, have somebody else do that. You don't need to be involved in that, especially where it's because I guarantee you, if he was getting weed here, he was sending somebody to the dispensary.
He makes like $13 million a year.
It's crazy. Well, somebody else got busted for weed in New Orleans, and I can't remember. It was like a football player, I think. And
You can have weed waiting for you everywhere you go
Everywhere
and
you
never
go.
transport it.
Yep. It just doesn't make any sense.
You need weed Uber.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Or play for Denver teams.
I thought they have.
Or
weed
California
Don't they
teams.
have weed
I think so. I don't know if you can do that technically, but play. So play for a Denver team.
Yeah.
Play for a team in California. You can't play
Or
basketball in
Washington.
Seattle.
Texas, it's on the ballot there. So,
Washington D.C., right?
and Texas has no state tax.
So, that's really the way around it. So maybe, as we've discussed over the years, maybe that weed thing, these guys will get sick of getting busted because one, they're all black, so like they get fucking pulled over, and the cops are like, "Ooh, I'm gonna have to take a look in here," So they're always gonna get busted because they're black. So come to Denver, good players. Come play in Denver. All the weed you can smoke, and nobody gives a shit if you have it in your car. So
That's the moral.
that's the moral of the story. Yeah, I was gonna say you'd mentioned
That's our state motto.
It is pretty much. You had mentioned Better Call Saul earlier, and I want to say
It's Better Call Doll. David Dahl.
Better Call Doll. I say badee, that's Doll, folks.
Oh God!
Nice.
Better Call Saul, I think, is better than Breaking Bad.
I think so too.
I think it is.
I was just thinking that the other night.
Yep.
I agree.
You agree?
This season,
I think
so
one
far.
person doesn't agree.
I do not agree whatsoever.
Well, too bad. Have you watched Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
Are you current?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It is fantastic. The performances are great.
It is good.
It's really good. It's very nuanced.
You know what I
And
miss
this
about
year
it,
is
though?
really dark.
It is
Really
dark.
dark.
Really dark.
What I miss about it, I guess a lot of times when they were actually cooking meth and so forth, they'd go into this whole montage with the song, and they'd speed up film and
It's a
reverse it.
great show. Don't get me
But
wrong.
they don't do that in the new one, and I miss those kind of.
Well, they can't just rehash the same show. They got to.
I'm just saying, I really enjoy.
Is everyone
Breaking Bad.
current? Is everyone current on the
Yeah,
show?
well, I think so. I've watched 3 episodes of the new.
I think that's all there is.
But
But
I think there's one.
you
more that I
remember
haven't seen.
Gail? Remember Gail?
Gail.
Are you current?
I remember. Yeah, I didn't watch this last one.
Okay,
Okay,
never
so
mind.
outside the last.
Well, hey, he.
I remember
he-
Gail.
Yeah, he was dead. He got
Yeah.
killed in Breaking
Yeah.
Bad. But yeah, he shows up in the new one.
So
So
that's cool.
yeah, it's cool.
I had the other night I was watching and I had a timeline problem where I was like, God damn it, okay, where does this show fit in relationship time wise to Breaking Bad? And I realized it's a giant prequel.
It's a giant prequel, but it's probably
But everyone's older.
It's probably everyone's older. Everyone except for Mike Ehrmantraut,
I
he still looks
can't
ancient.
I can't figure out where at what point in time is the Krispy Kreme stuff?
Krispy Kreme.
When he's working at the donut shop.
Oh, that's in the future.
Okay. Yeah, that trips me out.
And that's in Omaha.
It's a cinema.
It's a Cinnabon in
Cinnabon,
Omaha
right.
because they tell you at the beginning it's in Omaha, and then they came back to it at the beginning of this season.
Yeah, and it's
Because he had,
really
like,
for a loop. I was like, what the fuck?
And yeah, so
They
that's
throw in the isotopes.
and the isotopes show up in there. Yeah, and there's an isotopes.
Speaking of
reference.
Rockies up 5-1.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's talk about my Rockies.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about my Rockies.
Yes.
Your Rock Boys.
My Rock
Your handsome
Boys.
heart Rock
Yeah.
Boys.
I like the Rock
Um,
Boys. I'm officially adopting the Rock Boys.
The Rock Boys
That's
are in the
fantastic.
house tonight. That's what I'm saying. You got that song? Play that song. You know
Rock
that
Boys.
Jay-Z Kanye song?
No.
Oh, it's a good
You know
song.
that song?
Oh, yeah, that's a good
You
song.
love Kanye, don't you?
I do not love Kanye. Kanye's a
I
fucking
remember
asshole.
your review. What was it? Life Pablo, or was it the one before that?
It was Yeezus.
Jesus.
Yeah, Yeezus. Those albums are pieces of shit, man. They're terrible. They're terrible. Kanye has had some good songs along the way, but ever since once he got famous, it just turned to shit. I remember being really excited. I was like, oh, he got a new album out. It's called 808s and Heartbreak or whatever. And I was like, this is great. And I listened to it and I was like, man, that's really bad. And I thought, okay. And I didn't really listen to it. And everything else after that has been horrible. And then some of these young guys, like these young dudes that I know from Twitter, they can't get enough. They're like what's the one? My Dark Twisted Fantasy. They're like, or whatever it's called. They're like, this is one of the greatest albums of all time. And they fucking go on and on. I'm like, have you heard it? It's fucking terrible. It's so bad. It's like, and if you think he's bad now, like, you could see the roots of him starting to suck then. It just wasn't.
Dude, he was
not
on
good.
SNL one night, and I was fucking floored by how bad it was.
Oh, it's
I was
terrible.
just like, oh my God, what a disaster. Whereas when Timberlake did SNL, and I know you hate Timberlake,
Oh, yeah.
but when he did SNL, that performance was off the fucking
Oh wait, what's the
chain.
difference between the two people, Jeff? What's the difference, huh?
I think one is slightly taller.
Yeah, one's slightly taller. No, that's the whole thing. Timberlake is a performer, and he's a performer.
He's perfect for SNL.
He'll always be on a good show.
Give me 4.5 minutes.
Now, I think Kanye is probably very good at what he does insofar as producing.
But he's so full of himself.
But I think it's one of those things where it's just somebody who's just ate his own bullshit for so long. He has no idea that he's fucking awful. But there's thousands, millions of people who sit there and go, "Oh my God, it's so brilliant. He said poopity scoopity. Are you getting this?" And it's like, this is so fucking bad. It just sucks. But he's been elevated to a point that everyone thinks it's great.
I'm more of a Cool Mo D guy.
As most people are.
Let's say I was more of a Bone Thugs and Harmony fan.
Wow.
Back in the 90s.
Even better.
We're all so sad and old.
But this is what I was just going to point out. We have a bunch of 40-year-old white men complaining about Kanye West.
Jeff, you bring up a good point. Yes, and
I agree. But
it's my privilege.
No, hold on. No, you're right.
Right.
And you have to.
Privilege.
Here's the thing: you have to enter that valley of death when you criticize someone like Kanye, because then everyone goes, "You're old and white," and it's like, yes, true, very true, very true. But I am honestly coming at it objectively because I've listened to hip hop from way back. Like I consider myself one of the first white kids to get into it back in like the early to mid 80s. So I've watched it develop. I know the music, and this is bad. It fucking sucks. It's not good. And there's stuff out there. If you I listen to the on XM, I listen to the hip hop channel. Yeah. There's great fucking shit on there. I don't even mind Drake too much. Drake's really? Okay. Yeah, I don't mind some of that. Yeah, he sucks. I don't like him. I think he's a douchebag. But some of that music is okay. But the Kanye stuff,
you can root for Chad Kelly. You can root for Drake. They're the same.
That's a good question. So
we're going to talk about the Rockies.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the Rockies, weren't we?
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of them listen to Kanye. So.
My Rock Boys.
I don't think those guys listen. There's not many Kanye lovers because I think there's only is there only one black guy in the Rockies, and it's Tapia, and he's not even like
he's actually black.
No, I mean he's certainly
he's black adjacent.
Well, he's from a Latin country, so I think he's basically Caribbean.
No, I think Arenado always has the hip hop playing when they're doing batting practice.
Yeah, he's a Southern California kid, so he's probably got that going. But
Atlanta series.
I just think all millennials listen to rap. It's burned into my brain. I just think all millennials listen to rap. It's a very common music form that younger people listen to, and so I have a kid I now have a high schooler, by the way. It's first.
It's got a kid doing college classes.
It's crazy. I'm a little shocked by it. Doesn't listens to various stuff, but certainly identifies with that most because I think that's the soundtrack to a lot of people that age.
That and Weezer and
Weezer. My kids would never in a million years.
No. My kid, my son, he's a sophomore in high school. Mm-hmm. If they use auto-tune, the artist that uses auto-tune and has face tattoos, he's into it. Totally into it.
Yeah.
SoundCloud rappers.
He loves SoundCloud rappers. It's his favorite.
I saw a thing where they had a picture of a kid that had passed out, and they were drawing stuff on his face, and they were like hilarious in the 90s, and then they put next to it the same picture, and they're like rapper today. And it's like, it's fucking face tattoos, dude. Are you kidding me? You better make a lot of money because you're gonna be fucked later.
I had a guy in here today with a bunch of them. And I was just like, holy shit. You were so fucked. You're basically saying I work in kitchens.
People who had face tattoos 20 years ago were like fucking far in the
circus.
Yeah.
They were in the
circus, or they had gone so far out of the mainstream that they just were like they were gone.
Come see the man with the tattoo on his face.
They were fucking not
25 cents.
They were not part of mainstream America.
The best part was the other day, dude. I saw a dude at fucking 7-Eleven, working at 7-Eleven, African American guy. 2 tattoos of dollar signs, right on his jawline. Nice. I was like, yeah, minimum wage, dollar sign.
I'll even take a neck tattoo. I'll be like, all right, that's cool. But once you got
Chris
the face,
Anderson with the neck tattoo and the eye tattoo.
Okay, that's different.
Why is it different, Colin? Because
it is different because
you're a basketball player.
What's the difference between the black guy at 7-Eleven and Chris Anderson?
He's gonna have enough. Chris Anderson's gonna have enough money to live the rest of his life.
I remember the first time I saw someone with a neck tattoo that wasn't a basketball player, and it was at the drive-thru at Taco Bell.
Wait,
That's
everybody
exactly
else had
what it was.
Carmelo Anthony on their neck?
No, 20 years ago, you saw a neck tattoo, you fucking turned the other way because they were fucking
I couldn't
scary
believe
as
it.
shit.
I mean, like some people, like Kenyon Martin was having neck tattoos. He
Well,
was an
yeah.
early adopter.
Yeah,
But the
that's
very first time I saw someone that wasn't a basketball player was someone working the drive-through at Taco Bell.
really.
I've seen it, and they long time ago.
This is like 15 years ago,
It's
20
scary
years
as
ago.
Dude,
fuck.
I work on South Broadway. I see this shit all fucking
Now
Oh,
you
yeah,
do,
you do.
yeah,
I'm saying,
now
like
you do,
20
of
years
course.
ago, you didn't see it.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, listen.
So the Rockies, I had a
Hold
great
on.
time watching that series. Sorry.
That's great. Well, we got to take a break.
That's awesome.
You can talk.
I
We've
can't wait to
got-
talk Rockies.
My
You talk
entire list
Well, you can
is
talk. I know, but
untouched.
we kind of cooked through the first because I couldn't tell how much time was elapsed because of that false start. I mean,
My
I'm,
fault,
I'm,
my
so-
fault,
I'm
totally
sorry.
my
There was
fault.
no false start. It
Totally
all
my
started
start.
perfectly.
It didn't happen.
It all started perfectly. So we can go a little long. We'll do that, of course. And but let's stick to the halftime right now, and we can get back into it. We can talk about your Rockies, my Rockies, your Broncos, not my Broncos. No, definitely not.
There are Broncos, John.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, unfortunately, there are Broncos. We have to own that. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's our country.
That's right. Yeah, we got to own that too.
A lot of parallels.
Let's take a quick break. Be right back. This is rap music, not this bullshit.
My son one day was like, holy shit, they really liked their snares back then, didn't they?
Oh my god! Someone played me this one music. I forget who the person was, but the person was mumbling through the entire song. And
Oh, they all mumble.
And I'm like, are you?
No, they all mumble now.
What?
Yeah, no, it's all about putting forth as little effort as possible is what rap is about now. They're all trying to be the laziest rapper of all.
I mean, it wasn't articulate. I couldn't hear. It was like, I don't want to hear you mumble about whatever you're mumbling right now.
But again, if somebody can put something together that you kind of go, this is pretty good. Even if they're mumbling, if it's a part of the song that kind of makes you go, okay, I like this. But a lot of it just doesn't do that for me.
I told my son the best rap lyric ever. There's one, and only one is the greatest rap lyric ever, and there are many. The best is I'm Eazy-E, I got bitches galore. You might got a lot of bitches, but I got much more. I don't know how you get any better than that.
I just listened to that album.
It's got the poor grammar. It's perfect.
The man who died of AIDS.
Hold on, unbutton your bra. The bitch had the biggest titties that a nigga ever saw. It's like fuck it. I'm like, oh my god, I can't play this out loud.
Dude, I play it with Kilgore all the time. He's 17.
It's great,
We're
dude.
rocking.
The
Oh.
Eazy-E solo album is fantastic.
It's-
So
Oh, it's
good.
fucking
Just-
amazing.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Just the other
On
day,
radio.
my wife was saying to do something really quick, and I just threw out there, just because I throw things out there, woke up quick at about noon, and I just walked
Just
away.
knowing
and
I
then-
gotta be in Compton soon.
and my son says, just know that I had to be in Compton soon. And I'm like, ah. I can't
Ice
throw that-
Cube,
I can't
Ice
throw
Cube
that.
wrote all that.
And
No,
then-
really?
Yeah, Ice Cube wrote all that. Most of it, yeah.
So we
For
got
sure.
we got the call the day before yesterday. My wife got the call from the dean at the high school. Yeah. No, not that.
Mm.
The security guard caught your son in another party smoking a joint
Oh.
on the baseball field during school.
Mm.
So
Is
we
that-
had to
is
have
that
that
what-
conversation. You talk about something like writing an article, like something you're just like, no, I don't want to fuck. I'd almost rather just let him come home and not say a word. And so he was told to go report to the dean. He and this other girl that he was with, because he's always with a girl. He's the captain of the cheerleading team. My son. He's the captain of the cheerleading team.
Nice moves.
Oh, it's fucking smooth, dude. He's smooth as silk. And so he was with one of the cheerleaders, and the security guard told him to go back to the office and meet with the dean. So they left. They left. Missed 4 classes, and the dean called my wife. We had to sit him down. Is there anything you want to tell us? Well, the security guard told him if you should go back and talk to the dean, but if you just disappear, I didn't see them. He lied to him, or so he said, because he went back and have the dean call my wife. Yeah, you just don't want to have that conversation. Just like,
So what
God damn
what
it.
about the part where like, Dad, you're smoking weed outside all the time?
Something like that. He doesn't have to say it because I've already said it for him a long time ago.
Yeah.
When he was 13. So I mean, I've already laid it all on the line. Been like, all right, here's the fucking deal. And then when he was on his 13th birthday, I gave him a handwritten letter, where I said, "This is what I know about women and drugs, basically."
They're the same thing. Can't get enough of them, ruin your fucking life.
Yeah. No, it was about this. These are the drugs that don't bother me. These are the drugs that do. This is why I've tried everything but heroin. Everything but heroin. I have tried. I've tried PCP. I've tried everything else. So I wrote him this letter, and I said, "Here's the one thing." It concluded with, "Don't get a girl pregnant." That's it. That's my message to my 13-year-old son was, "Don't get a girl pregnant. Everything else, not that big a deal, and don't do heroin."
Are you going to repeat that same letter and give it to your daughter?
No. That's my wife.
That's gonna be a different conversation.
Gender roles.
Now, see, I have a thing where, so like I said, I got a high schooler now. He thinks I'm fucking straight and narrow, like very virtuous, because
You gotta straighten that shit out.
because my wife, she at one point had said, well, when I was in college, I had smoked pot, whatever, and he got all like bent out of shape about it, and thinks that I'm a fucking angel, and so I'm like, it's recording. Yeah,
we know.
He would die. He would rather die than watch this. So I had to
My
be like,
entire family too, for what it's worth.
thinks you're an angel.
Well, would never watch this.
Oh,
See, I thought it was important, and you guys, I'm heaven forbid I would ever make any suggestions about how you raise your own kids. My kids, I wanted my son at 13, 14 to understand your dad's no angel.
this is what I'm getting at.
Right.
I think I should say, hey, I know a lot about this, and this is the.
And don't be afraid to talk to me about it. And he hasn't.
What's that?
This is the guy getting the call from the dean. So that's
a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I did kind of.
I'll say, crack is whack, son. I'll be like,
Well,
I mean,
kids know that shit's legal in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think he's put it together, and I'd be like,
how old's your oldest boy?
He'll be 14 next week.
Oh yeah. You're in the zone.
I'm in the
I'm
zone.
not waiting from you, all right? I learned it by watching you.
Exactly. Oh, like up until he was born, I was smoking so much weed. I was a big pot smoker. Once he was born, I kind of stopped because it was like I was like, I don't really need to be high and dealing with the baby, and it was only rare occasions. That's been pretty much this whole time. But I know a lot about it, and want to make sure that give him all the information he needs. But I just love the fact that he thinks I'm an angel. I think it's hilarious.
So you can give him the old egg frying pan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, this is your brain. Yeah. Now you're really dating yourself.
I'm very nervous because I've got a new house.
And you got a big 6-foot bong in the corner. He doesn't know what it is yet.
I've got 2 acres of wild land behind me where they can, like a lot of people could, we found clothes back there, like homeless camps, in my yard and such.
Makes sense. Yeah.
There's a lot of places for he and his friends to escape.
I grew up in areas that I had a lot of room to escape, and we'll do that to an extent. But
yeah, I wouldn't mind.
When we met Reno out at Bear Creek Distillery to watch one of those Rockies games, one of those Atlanta games, and I went down Broadway and I had to go get some cash from 7-Eleven, and then I drove down to Acoma because it's on Acoma, kind of almost to Evans maybe, and driving down Acoma, there was just people down the side streets just living all down there. So that's kind of where they filter off to, because it's a lot of warehouses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of people everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, homeless has become an issue for sure. It's a big one. I missed my invite, by the way. I guess Reno doesn't like me.
Oh shit, he's not watching this. He's not watching this. I tell Reno all the time. I'm like, hey, I saw your sister-in-law in something. He's like, nah. She was in Twin Peaks. I don't know if you guys didn't see new Twin Peaks.
I have to.
No, I've not seen it.
Awesome. She had a small part in there. Like, hey, I saw your sister-in-law in Twin Peaks, and he's like, oh, he doesn't watch that shit.
Is Kyle MacLachlan in there?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, dude, did you watch the original?
Yeah, I just was like wondering if they brought him in, into the.
It's the greatest thing that's been on television. Oh, it's fantastic. It's like 18 episodes. It's on Showtime.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
You got Showtime?
No.
If it comes out on some sort of video,
Yeah.
it goes fucking to crazy places. Yeah, Kyle MacLachlan plays 3 different characters in it.
Really?
It's a tour de force, Jeff.
Oh, I love Kyle MacLachlan.
Oh, dude,
Spice.
so good. Oh, well, don't get me started on Dune, Jeff. We'll do a whole show on Dune if you want. Fucking love
A
Dune.
lot of great movies. Like it came out in '84. All those big fantasy movies. Came
Oh
out.
man, I fucking love Dune, and I know the Dune books very well, and it's very different than the Dune books, but I love the Dune movie.
I had a Dune buggy.
It's different. Dune is a David Lynch movie,
Yes.
and I mean not just that he directed it. If you watch it, it is a David Lynch movie.
yeah.
Like it's very much Lynch style,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Always had that when I was a small kid, getting very disturbed by that big fat floating guy. I forgot his name.
Baron Harkonnen.
Yeah, that like draining that.
Yeah,
that
so
I was like,
gross.
oh
Oh
my
yeah.
God! And I was a kid at the time watching this, and I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah, I was very disturbed. They did a good job with it.
they did.
He comes back. So you know the little girl that kills him at the end. So that is actually her name's Alicia
People
Witt.
delivering packages
I
to
think.
someone else.
Yeah.
So she's an actress now.
Yeah, no,
it's
I've
kinda
got one.
cool.
I've got one of
in
those. I've been doing
in
that.
the books,
Yeah,
that
that's
character
a beautiful
goes on to become this like kind of regent of the whole
Why is that
empire,
tree so
and
fucking
he
yellow already?
possesses her.
Because I think it's
story, and like ends her life, and
It's also
kind of gets
almost
revenge
fun.
on her in a sense. So
Oh, wow.
it's
Almost.
yeah, the books are
Not quite.
fucking books go crazy directions.
Oh man! Well, it's quite a bit more extensive than the movie was. The
Oh,
movie was
yeah.
long, so
Well, listen, the Dune cast is coming soon. So if you want to sit in on the Dune cast, we'll talk. We'll talk Dune. We'll talk Dune all night long. We'll take some spice.
There'd be a giant worm.
My kid does not know that I take the spice. That he'll never know
Picture
that.
from it.
Okay,
We don't want him to get the wrong idea.
the spice melange. Are we ready to go?
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
Look at that corn on
That's fucking beautiful.
Are you ready to go? Because
I
I
gotta
got
have
to
a
pee.
barbecue. I'm way ready to go.
You guys want to do barbecue? Yeah, let's go that direction there.
Dude, fucking A.
It's my yard, man. I don't know, kind of crazy.
That's fucking sweet.
Crazy shit. Crazy shit.
All right, I'm gonna do a read. I'm gonna make it
Are
up.
you serious? You're
Yeah.
really gonna do one?
Yeah.
No, fine.
BSN.
Woke up quick at about noon.
Ready?
Hey, everybody, I know, I'm like, sign up for this, sign up for that, but sign up for BSN Denver. If you're not, especially if you're an Avs fan, it's coming. It's coming. You got Adrian Dater right there at bsndenver.com, along with AJ Hafferly. Best Avalanche coverage in town. And don't forget, Ryan Koenigsberg, one of the founding members of bsndenver.com, down there every day at the Valley, reporting on the Broncos. It's great reporting. It's great, solid stuff. They're credentialed for every team. And they're working it. I mean, I think they're doing a better job than the Post, and it's like a few bucks, $3-4 a month, $30 a year. BSNDenver.com. And when you do sign up, it would be just wonderful if you tell them that the South Stand sent you. Oh my God! It's time for sport. God, it's sports time.
Oh! Yeah!
Oh!
Go, Jeff Martin! Come on! Bring it on!
Oh!
1, 2, 3, 4, you know you love this one, Jeff!
Sports!
Woo!
Sports! 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 Sports!
Yes! Sports! Sports!
Denver sports! That's what the show is all about. 10% sports guarantee.
Oh, let's talk about those rock
10%,
guys, huh?
10% Percent
That-
sports. It's 5-2, by the way.
I saw that. Yeah.
5-2.
They got
My
two
Rockies.
on bottom of the.
My Rockies really needed to get back on the horse, and now you can't win them all. Baseball is a game where it's impossible to win them
And
all.
I'm getting better about that.
Yeah, you got to understand that you're not the Golden State Warriors who are going to win like 95% of their games.
Can I tell you something really quick?
Tell me something.
I'm going to tell you something.
Tell me something.
I went to a Rockies game not too long ago. They were playing the Dodgers, and I walked out of there thinking, it's over. Season's done.
I know. I've been there 5 or 6 times.
Colin's there
this
every
year.
other day.
And then that was the very first game with that
And then they went on the road.
where they the bullpen gave up like 7 runs in like 3
That was
innings.
the first game, right?
The first game.
And then
And
they
I
won
was,
the rest.
it felt like
It was
I
a
was
Thursday.
leaving. Yes, and I felt like I was leaving a funeral. I mean, everyone on the train. We had a guy console us on the train and grab my hand and say, "It's going to be."
I was like, don't fucking touch me.
No one was
Jesus.
even talking to each other on the train going home. It was so sad. The season was over, and then they won 3 in a row.
And they went on
And then they go to Houston and win a game. Then they won 4 in Atlanta, and boom. But it felt like the season was done. It was over. It
I
was
think-
like
I think
And that
they-
sweep on Sunday, that it was so beautiful. I mean, I felt so good, and I realized on that afternoon, and it was a beautiful day, and I was roasting peppers and watching the Rockies win, sweep a series. It was beautiful, and I realized I love this team more than the Broncos.
Wow. Holy shit. You heard it here first.
Right here.
It's weird.
Here's the thing. I have yet to see a full preseason game. I've seen
Oh, yeah.
part
I
of
haven't
one,
seen.
only because the Rockies are playing at the same exact time. And I was.
Why would you watch
watching
a preseason game when the
I don't
Rockies
know.
are on?
Exactly.
But I had a little get together. We had some birthday parties at my house, family stuff.
Well, wait. Why weren't we invited?
It's birthday parties, family stuff.
I
just
wouldn't
told
have
you.
come.
You weren't invited. It was family stuff, birthday parties. All right. So the people. This is interesting. The people that everyone wanted to watch the Broncos game, right? The preseason game. But these are very, very, very casual sports fans.
They're like, oh
right?
yeah, sports, Broncos.
And
yeah.
when I put on the Rockies, they wanted no part of it. At which point in time, my wife says, "Hey, we really got to put on the Broncos game." Everyone's asking for the Broncos game. So people who don't really care about sports at all, they care about the Broncos.
Of course.
And that's just kind of where it goes. Right?
Casual ass fans.
Yes, they do, and that's a very good point because I've always made this point. It's like if there's a lot of transplants in Denver, and it's easy for people to like football. It's just they make it easy for you to like it, and so when you come into a small
Not
town-
necessarily.
well, so yeah, there's another subject, but you get in, and then the default ends up being NFL because, or at least college football because that's just it's programmed in everyone's
It's
brain.
very commonplace to
Yeah.
get into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And watching some of those preseason games, I was just like, I was so bored, and I was like, man, how do we sit through this fucking shit? It's so slow, and there's just so many penalties, and they're just dragging it down. It's so like, and I know it'll get exciting once the regular season begins, but. And I'm watching the Broncos. I watched a little bit. I'm like, I just want to see what Chad Kelly's doing, whatever. See how the first team is doing in the first couple plays. And after that, I was just like, oh my god, I can't sit through this fucking shit.
Well, and I think the NFL is in. I really do. I really think they're in a lot of trouble right now, and there's several reasons.
Anthem
Yeah,
protests,
The anthem shit.
those
No,
Negroes kneeling for the anthem.
Not the protests. That's not the problem. The league's handling of the protests is a problem.
Yes, it is.
And also the officiating and the new rules with regard to the officiating, and I wonder. I mean, it's kind of there again the tie-in between the United States and the NFL. You would never think that the United States could fall to second place in any category, but you would never think the NFL could either. But I kind of feel like it is. I kind of feel like in a lot of ways the NBA is slowly but surely jockeying for that first place.
Can we talk about a little NBA since we got an NBA guy here? Right
Well,
now?
we can talk NBA. I just wanted to say first that, like, watching these Rockies games, because we've been talking Rockies, these are far more riveting and have so much more at stake and you're like, oh my god, is the pitcher gonna fucking blow up? Is Blackman gonna get a good fucking double out of it? There's so much more going on, and it's so much more interesting than anything with the NFL right now.
Right.
And I get it. Okay, Broncos are exciting and everything like that. We all love football. And
They're gonna suck though. We all know they're gonna suck.
We're talking Broncos in the fourth because Jeff's got to get to his story about Elway. But the baseball, and it helps that the Rockies are in the thick of it. That obviously helps. But it's still every game now. You're like going, because we're not watching it tonight, but we're still hanging on it because we're like, got to make sure they're hanging tough, and it's very interesting. So the NBA, I don't know. Are the Nuggets going to be? Are the Nuggets going to jockey for that? Are
The
they
Nuggets are
going
gonna be just fine, right?
I don't think the Nuggets will be a playoff team this next year.
Ooh.
I think there's no doubt they'll be a playoff team.
And, yeah, and Scott and I have actually spoken about this a couple times, and I think that they will be a playoff team, and I think that they will do. They will surprise a lot of people, and I think Michael Porter Jr. will end up playing this year too.
Didn't he have a bacchiotomy though?
Yes, he did.
It's your two bacchiotomies, but the second one is good. And you guys know that I like to hop on the bandwagon.
Oh, absolutely.
Right before.
Dude, you are known for your bandwagon hopping. Like you got perfect form.
Yeah.
You're like
Yeah. Asked me to play for the Rockies 3 years ago. I don't know. Beats me. Was Cargo on the team? I have no idea.
He was.
I don't know.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know who else. I guess that's it. I don't know.
Dante Bichette, maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Who's that? I have no idea. So I like to hop on right before the teams are good.
It's what you should do.
And
because you can't hop on after.
No. What? It's timing,
Sure
John.
you can.
It's timing. No, you got to hop on early because that's when you get the good stuff.
Absolutely.
I am a new season ticket holder for the Denver Nuggets.
No! You gotta be
So
kidding me!
you know that they're going to be good.
Yeah.
You know they're going to be good because you know what I do. You know I
You
hop
heard
on
it here first.
right
And by
before
good,
it
you mean
happens.
still never win a title.
No. Here, check this. I'm saying 3 years from now, 4 years from now, they're
Contending for a title?
Oh, wait. No, hold on. And Jeff,
come
I
on.
want to hear your opinion.
Totally. I think they are.
Jokic, Murray, a couple of these guys, if they develop and they become
Gary
superstars,
Harris.
Then they can bring. They need another piece, but they can bring that in at that.
what do you think about that,
I'll
Jeff?
throw this there. The key is, I think I've told a couple of people this, but I really do think their schedule lays out this way. It's going to be a bunch of easy games to start the year, and
They play Golden State like the third game.
They do. They
Yeah,
do.
It's not a bunch of easy.
They do. Well, other than Golden State, but you'll be able to enjoy seeing Golden State.
Oh no, I'm selling those tickets. So I get my money back. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm gonna
Sell that
lose my
shit. Sell
shirt.
that shit. Yeah.
Golden State and Lakers, I sell that shit, for sure. And then I go to the other games.
But I actually, as a credential being member, I never went to the Golden State games because all the Golden State bandwagon fans that are just irritated the crap out of me. But they have a bunch of easy games going up to right around the All-Star break. So that's going to allow them to rest Michael Porter Jr. And it's going to allow them to get him up to speed, get him in there a little earlier, and then kind of watch him take off. I have seen this guy shoot. I have seen him as an injured person perform on the court for workouts for the Nuggets and stuff like that. I've not seen an athlete like that with the Nuggets since David Thompson was here.
Wow. Holy shit.
And it was stunning to me. His shot is the purest shot I've ever seen in my life.
And this is a guy that may not play this year.
And it's a guy
You mean purer than Steph Curry?
It's right.
Hold
It is
on.
right.
Let me back up just a little bit. So their schedule it's going to be decent, so they can all gel and they can start thumping fools and get their groove on, right? They can kind of get
Until
it
it gets
going.
really hard.
Yeah,
Until it gets really hard.
you thump it till it gets hard. And is that what you meant?
Vance Joseph says yes.
So that's great. I think that bodes well because they can get a groove and they can well work together and they know how to blow people out. They know how to play well. That sounds good to me. With back issues, as someone who has experienced back issues,
As someone who's had the same exact surgery as that guy, as me, I had some major concerns. But he's like 20 or something.
I hear you,
And I'm like,
but in
40.
athletes, and it goes from hockey to everything else. Didn't Todd Helton have a back surgery? And I don't think after that back surgery, he wasn't quite the same person anymore. is this an issue that's going to keep coming up, or do you think he's young enough to kind of skate through it?
That's an interesting question. And my mom.
I know you're not going to be able to answer that because
my mom had the same surgery, and I asked
she
her
can
about
she
it.
can dunk still.
Yeah, she can still. she can still dunk on fools all the time. But her description of it was after I had my surgery, everything felt better.
And that is true because it takes away the sciatic pain
Yeah.
immediately. But it's a microdiscectomy. So essentially, the disc blows out on a side of it, and it hits the nerve, and the disc is like a jelly donut, essentially, right? And it
delicious.
blows out into the side,
Sounds good.
and they essentially cut that piece away.
Yeah.
And they can't put it back in, and then it heals. So there's always going to be less. The disc is always going to be compressed, and for me, I'm an old guy, and I have a lot of trouble with it. But I think he, as a young guy, can deal with it.
Do you feel, take away your physical limitations, let's call them, just being kind.
No, that's very kind.
Do you feel well enough that you think 20, what is he, 22, 23, 20? 20. You think a 20-year-old can bounce back from that?
Initially, no, I didn't feel that way whatsoever. But it's the type of thing like I cut my arm like 4 months ago, and there's still a mark. You know what I mean? Like when you're 20, that shit goes away like in a day.
Sure.
So I think he's going to heal faster, and he probably did heal faster, and he has the best medical attention.
So you think
Goodbye.
if this kid heals up, he's going to be a factor.
And he's also black, so everything works better.
Black don't crack, baby.
Anyway, yes.
Anyway.
Not true. There's keloid scar. I get keloid scars, and that's a lot of black people get keloid scars. It's actually the your scarring tissue overcompensates itself and sometimes makes it worse.
You know what? I didn't think you were black, but I accept you.
I do.
I accept you.
If you do that 23andMe, you'll find something.
I had a mole removed from my neck when I was a kid. I got this giant scar on my neck.
Oh yeah, that's it.
It was a little tiny mole.
That was your blackness.
And that
You
wasn't-
cut it right off.
That's when I figured out I get keloid scars.
I went to college with a guy. A little bit of a tangent here. I went to college with a guy, and he is from the South, and his family is originally from the South, and he had blonde, white ass fucking dude, had very curly, kinky hair, and had kind of, I want to say, African features. And it was a weird thing. Like, and I was kind of like, since he's from the South, was there something?
You went to school with Blake Griffin?
What wider than that? But had these certain kind of features. And I just thought South, maybe maybe there was something there.
It was funny, and actually, you guys were talking about and just to bring this back to where we started with Rockies.
Thanks, I appreciate it. We lost the plot.
I am emotionally invested in this Rockies team.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Wow,
times,
you are. And that's
He's
saying a lot.
wearing a purple Shaft shirt.
I'm wearing shaft.
It's the shaft is purple.
He's wearing a
And
purple shaft shirt and a purple shaft.
All of our shafts are purple because of over the Rockies. if you will.
It's funny.
That's not the reason.
Last night, they lost the Padres. I was living.
Yeah.
An hour.
You're like, fuck this.
Why do you keep losing to the Padres?
Yeah, it's
That's
awesome.
exactly what I was saying. And I think that when you get to that point, that's good. When they mess up and you're angry, that's good, because before that, it was all apathy with the Rockies. It was like, especially through that streak where they're winning like 70 games.
There is a very good Rockies Twitter. It's called Rockies Twitter.
Oh,
And
I know Rockies.
there's a lot of great people, and you know what? You see them get all pissed off and frustrated, and they're all great folks, and you know that there's a very deep, rich fandom going on with the Rockies, and it does. But you're right though. You're like, now at this point, you're like, okay, we need to win, Rockies. We need to get it going, and you're emotionally invested, and I think that's great.
Well, stop losing to the Padres.
Yeah, stop losing the fucking Padres. Hey, you drop one of the Astros, I got it. Okay, cool.
Dude,
I
it's
understand.
crazy.
The Braves, I think the Braves are first in their division, right? And it's like, okay.
Yeah, they are a really good team, the Braves.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They beat the teams that are good, and they lose to the teams that are
That-
good.
that's trouble.
That's like the Nuggets.
But we
Yeah.
like it because you know what? Baseball's a great game, and to have them be in contention and all these games matter, and you're hanging on every pitch. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
And I think
It's fun.
you said a very key phrase. Baseball is a great game. I told my
Isn't that fun?
kids,
It's so great to watch baseball.
It's fantastic.
baseball is the greatest game. Football is the best sport. Hockey has the best fans, and the NBA has the best athletes.
Yeah.
The NBA does have the best habits. Those dudes, man, they're huge, and the way they move, it's fucking impressive.
Except Jokic. Jokic is kind of
It's kind of doughy.
he's kind of doughy.
He's kind of doughy.
Hey, don't cast stones. I mean, look at it. Going on.
But
Hey,
he has a 40-year-old body. So.
yes, that's true. Hopefully
got a
he
dad
can
bod.
keep playing like a 23-year-old for
Yes,
years
hopefully.
and years and years. I was going to say real quick, and we'll take a break. I think that if he develops and he keeps, I mean, people, if you read people like from around the country who cover basketball, they all know he's fucking. They all know he's fantastic and can probably be even better. He needs to be a little better. If he can get better, he'll be a superstar. Kind of is close to that now. And if some of those other guys develop too, you might have something here. You might have something. Colin, I know you don't believe it.
No title. No title.
Not in the next
No title.
2 years. Golden State will implode
Not in the next decade.
3 years from now.
Oh,
They're all going to
Here
want
come
to
the Lakers. Here come the fucking Lakers again.
Kevin
Lakers.
Durant will hightail it to the next.
To the Lakers. He'll join LeBron. Fuck it. Goddamn stupid fucking NBA.
Look, LeBron is awesome. I love LeBron. I think he's the greatest of all time.
I do.
He
I
can-
do. I think he's one of the greatest athletes.
He
of all
carried
time.
those
Top
Cleveland
five.
teams to finals, and
Such a fucking classic.
but you know what? That Laker team, right, is awful. They're a terrible team, right? They suck. Like they might not make they make the playoffs
Yeah, I think they will just because.
Of course.
because of LeBron,
Yeah.
but they're not going to go far because they're going to get smoked because they have a terrible team around them. And at least the Cleveland team had like okay.
Real quick, I know we're going to break. I heard something, and I don't know if you've heard the same thing. The Decision Cave
Ooh, yeah, this is good.
was Josh Kroenke's yacht. I shit you not. In the Caymans. Do you believe this? Do you think I'm completely crazy? Because I've heard this. You just say crazy, yes or no.
No comment.
No comment.
God damn you. I heard
We're
that
gonna
he
have
and
to
Kroenke are tight, that he really gave it a lot of thought. He spent a lot of time with Josh in the Decision Cave on Josh's fucking yacht in the
I
Caymans.
do know that he and Josh.
If and it was close, right?
It was real close.
if
it was
if
50-50.
LeBron came to the Nuggets,
Oh, the fucking world would have exploded.
what are their chances of winning the title?
Oh, they
100%.
I think they beat the Warriors.
I think so, absolutely.
And that's all you had.
And that's what I kept thinking. I said, LeBron, my man, go to this team with all these fucking young guys, and you can fucking lead the show. They'll the
Can you
supporting
imagine
cast
fucking Jokic dishing to LeBron?
that has
Stop and think about that and try not to masturbate.
is that a bet? I'm going to masturbate very soon. Is that a better supporting cast than they had when he went to Miami?
Wow. No, because he had Dwayne Wade.
D Wade in his
still-
prime was awesome.
Cool, but it's close, right?
Yeah, and Chris Bosh was still a vital player.
But it's close, right?
It's close. It's close. Yes.
There
In
you
my
go.
opinion.
There you go.
So that's not
Closer
what it was
than
about.
LA.
Yeah.
Closer than LA,
It was
right?
about his,
Oh, God,
his
yeah.
legacy and his life after NBA.
I totally get it. You want to go to the
I get it
Lakers.
too.
The Lakers are a classic team. But, man, you could just go into fucking Denver and win, like, several titles and then fucking retire.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome. Anyway, we could dream all night
Yes,
if we
we
wanted
can.
to. We could dream all night.
Yes,
It's not
we
going to
can.
happen.
Isaiah Thomas chose to come here at the league minimum. That's something.
That tells you something, right?
Yeah.
No one comes to Denver.
Oh,
for
I'm going to
league-
grab my
for
purple
league
shaft
minimum.
right now. Oh, yeah. Grab the purple shaft, everybody. Grab your purple shaft and love these Rockies because these Rockies are going to carry us into the fall. Oh, they're going to be beautiful. When the Broncos have let you down, the purple shaft will always be up for you. It will always be firm, and it'll always be your friend.
He's a complicated man.
It
really
no
is.
one understands him.
But it's woman.
Rock boys.
Love it. Let's take a quick break. Be right back. We do have a viewer.
Oh, we do?
It's probably Snyder.
Could be. It could be the other one.
People watch it afterwards. They don't watch it live, but we are the only live and local radio show going on right now.
So I guess we at least wait till they start singing, but it may be a while.
It's a
All
long.
right, because I gotta pee.
I got you too. I'll let you go first.
Why don't you go first? 'Cause I gotta stop this.
What? Where is it?
There's right where you would have put them. That's all I tell everybody.
Drift to the left.
The bathrooms are right where you would have put them.
Okay. Good.
I'm gonna start fading. It's too long.
Oh, it'll keep going.
It's
It's a jam.
it is.
Purple shaft, baby.
Okay, Scott.
Yep.
I have headlines to yard lines. I say we lay it in and it's a read because there's so much left to talk about.
Okay.
And we only have 1 quarter left. So let's lay headlines to yard lines in with as a read
Okay.
with a little TV news music.
Okay. And then I gotta find something to jump into.
And I mean, it's objectively pretty funny, but you know.
Oh, I know who's fucking viewing.
Captain Bronco?
It's Captain Bronco, or well, I can't say his name. I don't want
Scott
to.
Graham?
Yeah, we don't want to
At-
turn his old Twitter.
You don't want
That was new Twitter name.
his new Twitter?
He's got a new Twitter. What's with?
He said,
Martin's got a new Twitter too.
yeah, because he had the. What's the long story? I'll tell you off camera.
Oh, was the FBI involved?
Yes, the FBI was involved.
Captain Bronco.
If that is you, Captain Bronco, because he was saying that we aren't covering the closing of the old spaghetti factory or whatever. the fuck it's called.
Oh yeah. Which
Which I don't know how he knows about that because he's not. He's not.
I've got some good memories at that place.
I do too. I really do. And they saved that building. Did you know that? They rescued that building from demolition. The company that owns Old Spaghetti Factory approached the people who were going to demolish that building and said, "Please don't. We'd love to move in." And they got it
That's awesome.
while they were tenants. And nobody does this. They got historical protection put on their own building. Nobody does that because it limits what you can do with it. You can't put in new windows. You can't do whatever. So they intentionally and knowingly applied for historical protection because they loved the building so much.
That's a great building.
And now it's protected and nobody can tear it down and nobody can fuck with it. And that's because of Old Spaghetti Factory. So I will hold them in high esteem for that very reason. Because there are so few things in Denver that are cool still. So much fucking bullshit.
All of Denver is cool. What are you talking about?
Nah, there's just a lot of shit. Like Famous Pizza's getting run out of their spot.
Yeah.
I fucking love those guys, man.
That taco place down the street, I heard.
Yeah,
Too.
yeah, he's gone too. And there's another spot right around the corner from Matt's place.
Drove by Matt's place and it was just hopping tonight.
They're fucking, dude. They're always balls to the walls. That
It's
place.
just crazy. Remember when he bought that place and he's like, "Hey,
I bought a used
I
bookstore.
can't believe I did this, but I don't know sort of the decision is made. But I bought a used bookstore.
Well, he didn't buy the building. He bought the store. He's got a nice lease. He's got a good lease. It's solid. He's all right.
Gotta be all right.
All right, I gotta find some tunes. Give me some direction. What do you think?
I don't. My suggestion may not help you. I bet Jet stuck in my head.
I need something that's gonna be kind of powerful coming back in. Just a jam. You know what I mean? Like something that's gonna boogie. Something. I'm gonna.
Let me think here. It's gonna boogie like.
I don't know. Typically, I just play like what I've been listening to lately, but I've like barely been listening to music, which is it's a problem.
How about Black Rose by Thin Lizzy?
Could do it. I just brought up Led Zeppelin. I don't know because they boogie. But I want to do something that's like off of Coda or something like that. You know what I mean? Like just,
Wearing and Tearing.
maybe like In Through the Outdoor type of a.
Try wearing and Tearing. On Coda.
Yeah, maybe. It's not a bad one. I'm trying to. I want to do something definitely later. Maybe in Presence.
Presence has Achilles' Last Stand.
Yeah, it's cool too. When nobody's felt of mine. That's not a good one. I'm gonna listen to that here. See what I find. No, Killer's Last Stand can't do it. Unless I just fast forward to the... Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah.
That's a jam, actually.
Yeah.
You know that
I was
one?
playing that on my guitar.
You're playing a guitar?
I was playing that on my guitar a couple weeks ago.
Killer's Last Stand?
I play a lot of I know like almost the whole catalog of songs on my guitar.
Okay, I think it's what's going to be Killer's Last Stand.
Alright.
I think it's the winner. 20-second mark, it jams hard. So I gotta get it to about the 15-second mark, and then
Let the rise begin.
yeah.
So you all right?
Let's check this rocking score. What do we got? My handsome second place Rock Boys. I want to call them first place Rock Boys. They're not there yet.
They were there for like 3 hours.
Yeah, they're tied. Didn't have it themselves.
This boy's back. Woo! Sick massive piss,
This
man.
boy, huh?
Forever.
Oh, Rockies won.
Yay! So I was gonna say, like way into
Good, 'cause
Daredevil.
I'm going tomorrow, if they didn't have a chance to win the series, I would be pissed.
Yeah, that'd be awful. We got all the compilations of the Frank Miller Dark Knight. Dark Knight. He wrote the the Daredevil. When Frank Miller's like revitalized Daredevil. And
Okay.
everything like the show
Uh-huh.
is based on kind of his thing, and they're getting into like some of the other stuff.
I like it. I think it's good.
So I got all the compiled versions of when he did the run of the comics, when he wrote and drew them at some point, and they're really cool. They're definitely very 80s kind of comics, but he did. You ever seen the Dark Knight comics?
Mm.
Okay, so he changed Batman. So the Batman that now you have with all like the gritty Batman is because of Frank Miller. And he did a comic in the 80s called The Dark Knight Returns. And it was a futuristic Batman where he's kind of like semi-retired, but then he goes back into it and it's like he's an old man. And it's this crazy fucking thing. And they never made it into a movie. They did an animated one of it. But it's all taken from that. And it's really cool. So that's all those Daredevils that Frank Miller did are really cool. So
Did you ever
Cool.
read his Swamp Things?
what is it?
Frank Miller's Swamp Thing?
Yeah, I probably bought some of them when he did it. Yeah,
Really, really good, and I never
great.
cared for that. Other than the movie, which is the campy.
Oh, yeah. No, Frank Miller's awesome. He did 300. What's 300? With the Spartans.
300, and
That's his thing. Sin City.
Yeah, Sin
That's
City.
all Frank Miller
Was the
stuff.
Watchmen him, or was that?
No, that was Alan Moore.
Alan.
Alan Moore. But in that same time frame, all that stuff was being made. So
You got TV news music?
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Different music. Hold on. Let me see.
All right, so I'm gonna do headlines, CR lines as a read, so that we don't have to, so that we can get a full fourth quarter in, and then you should come right out of that straight into Jeff's story. 'Cause we got to get that in.
we figured it out, Captain Bronco.
Yeah. And then turn out Jeff's story.
See you
Then
soon.
let's bump
Is it
back
true
in.
he's a sex offender,
Wait.
Captain Bronco?
No.
No,
No.
I heard some stuff.
Wow. Wow. Holy shit.
Breaking news.
Breaking. No, it's third party. Third party. Well, actually, several parties.
Truth isn't truth, baby.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's so great. That
It's
happened.
subjective.
It's truth is not true.
Truth is subjective.
It's
It's a new era.
what am I doing? Hold on. Okay.
I love the fact that you just be like, I'm the biggest fucking lying asshole on the planet, and everything you heard about me that's bad is not true. Everything that's good is fucking true. So just listen. Just take that advice.
Oh my God. They apparently took this news thing off of. I got to find a new news thing.
Oh man.
They took it off of
You.
Apple Music.
Yeah, that would be fine. Just whatever.
Yeah, so hold on. Give me a second here. I gotta. Okay, I got something.
What's really funny, and since now we know Snyder's not watching, the fact that he got all bent out of shape because fucking Lawrence
coming.
he was like, "Is that Trump bitch gonna be there?" And I was like, she's just drafting for Ian. You're cool. Calm down. And he was all upset.
Boy, that guy is.
She is going to make his life a living hell.
Oh,
it's going to be awesome.
Okay, I found one just kind of like it.
Maybe there'll be a love connection, Colin.
Yep.
There, you thought about that?
Opposites attract. Okay, just start and I'll bring it up.
Okay, are you ready?
Okay. Well, no, I need music first.
But there's music playing in the background.
We're going.
As you're doing it.
We're recording.
Welcome to Headlines to Yard Lines, Fantasy Football Draft Edition. At least 11 people were killed in southern Italy on Monday when they were washed away by a raging whitewater creek in a deep mountain gorge that suddenly swelled after heavy rains upstream. And you, too, can make a big splash by selecting Alvin Kamara in the first round of your draft. Fuck you guys.
Don't do it.
A 95-year-old New York City man believed
Fuck
to
you
be
guys is always a response you want to say it to like people sitting around.
Exactly.
Fuck you guys.
Fuck you.
A 95-year-old man believed to be a former guard at a labor camp in Nazi-occupied Poland has arrived in Germany after being arrested and deported by U.S. immigration authorities, making room in the Big Apple for the exciting rookie running back Saquon Barkley, whose average draft position is currently 7th overall.
Now do that one. That's better.
You should have said something about Saquon Barkley definitely not being a white supremacist.
He's not.
No, definitely.
For sure. U.S. Representative Duncan Hunter, a Republican from California, was indicted on charges that he and his wife used hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign funds to pay for vacations, video games, and other personal expenses while filing fake campaign finance reports. And you'll want to avoid misappropriating funds in auction drafts by determining beforehand a positional budget and sticking with it.
It's too late.
A tanker vessel with 19 crew members on board has gone missing in pirate-plagued waters off West Africa. No word has been heard in a week, and your fantasy season may also be sunk if you don't secure 2 solid running backs in the first 3 rounds of your draft. We're drafting Sunday. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, is that a
It's gonna
tip?
be
Is that a
really
hot
exciting.
tip? Is that a hot tip? you
That's
think?
a hot tip.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting. Iran warned on Wednesday it will hit both U.S. and Israel targets if it's attacked by the United States. Also, your fantasy squad could potentially blow up if you hit on middle round running backs like Royce Freeman and K'Ron Johnson.
He's carry on.
Carry on. Carry on. Like you would on an airplane.
Or carry on my wayward son.
Fuck yeah. Oh.
When they told us we should go,
This Zeppelin?
and as I turned to
I don't know what this song.
Oh, dude. Fuck.
What is it?
Achilles' Last Stand.
Huh?
Achilles' Last Stand, our presents.
Oh, yeah, I don't know Presents very well. Is Presents good?
No.
I was gonna say,
This song's a jam.
yeah, this sounds good.
Here we go. There it is.
Fuck yeah.
Woo! You've waited long enough. It's time. We've got to get into it. Jeff Morton, our esteemed guest, one of our favorites. We love having him in anytime he's here. Jeff is going to tell us the story, the famous story of when he was a child and his encounter with John Elway.
Oh,
Jeff,
I can't wait.
Jeff, take it away.
all right,
Set the stage.
all right. Okay, and I initially, when I was first telling the story, I actually had the date wrong. I said it was 88, but it was actually 1989.
Can he sue you for the story? Are we good? Are we okay? Defamation of character? Can he?
No, it was probably 30
I know it's
people in
true,
the fucking
but-
room,
Yes,
right?
it was. I will tell you this.
Looking out for you, buddy.
My
It's all-
grandfather was a member of the Denver Broncos quarterback club,
Mhm.
very famous, long-running fan club of the Broncos. And he and my grandmother had season tickets all the way going back to 1969. And I was, let's see, it was 1989. It was Steve Atwater's rookie year. And my grandfather would take me to various games every year because he was the season ticket holder. So I generally got at least 3 games a year with the Bronco because my grandfather was fortunate enough to have this privilege, and that allowed him to go to the quarterback club. And he took me and my 2 older brothers with me, and we actually, as I remember, we were standing, and it was in one of those. It was old Mile High Stadium where they kind of had those kind of a weird club, had a bunch of like dark leather furniture
To hide the cum.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those things that it looked like it was out of 1975. With that Mile High Stadium is probably true. So anyway, I'm standing there next to my grandfather, who's a very tall man, and we're listening to Steve Sewell talk. One of the nicest men I've ever met.
1989, how old were you?
I would have been 11.
11 years old, okay. Yep.
And this would have been the 89-90 season, or 89 season. So they went to Super Bowl that year. And we're just talking, and Steve Sewell's just really nice guy. And Steve Atwater's smiling over there, talking to people. And John Elway comes in late and walks like.
Was he sober? We're getting to that. We're getting to that. Yeah, we're getting to that.
And he gets to a point where he walks towards us, and he didn't hesitate. He walks and he knocks me over as he's walking. Of course, I'm 11 years old. I'm not huge, and I'm 5'7" now, so I'm not huge. So he knocks me over, and he walks over to one of the side. It was like a far one of the long leather couches that they had, or seats. He sits down on it, and you could just smell the alcohol. You could just smell how drunk he was. And I don't know how many shots or beers he had, but it was nuts.
So now you're on the ground.
Yeah.
Is everyone just kind of goes, does everyone standing around go, whoa?
No, because it's John Elway, and people were like, "Oh, John."
Funny John Elway.
John,
It's like
Stumbling over and beating up children.
it's like if you're in England in the 1400s, and the king knocks you down,
you'll
and the serfs are like, "Oh, Lord,
good show, Lord.
Lord, please do that, man, please."
So what condition are you in?
I didn't get hurt or anything like that. I just was a little stunned that I was knocked over.
But I thought you were bloodied. Is that?
No,
is that
I
did,
was
I,
not.
did I make that up?
You made that up.
I created that in my mind.
So he knocks me down, and my grandfather was kind of offended,
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? It's John Elway, and he's surrounded by.
You got knocked down by John Elway.
So that was my first. That was my introduction to personally John Elway.
I thought I created this in my head
This
because I thought
was
your
better
grandfather
without
said
Jeff's
something
input
to
on
him.
this one. It was better when he was bloodied.
He was better.
I thought your grandfather
I thought
said
he
something,
stabbed
and then-
you. I thought
and
he
then Elway-
stabbed you with
And then
a
Elway said
broken bottle.
Elway said, "Fuck you."
Are you saying?
Am I not getting this right?
Are
Yeah.
you saying the legend outstrips the actual story?
I might have built this up a
Would
little
you
more. in my
maybe
head.
augment this story?
No, he didn't. No, he
A
didn't.
broken.
He didn't get bloodied. I understand.
You should do the
Didn't-
broken.
Didn't your grandfather
Correct.
say something?
He did say something, and no one responded. And I do recall John Elway saying, "Now let's get this fucking over with."
That there was some fucking. I think I remember him saying something
Yeah.
about fucking. So.
And that was the end of my interaction. And it's the only time I've ever interacted with John.
Let me ask you this: your grandfather, at that point, was in this Broncos thing. He was big into it. He loved the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
From that point on, was he just like Elway's a fucking piece of shit?
No.
Really?
No. And
Really?
As with, well, I mean, I'll tell you this. Not with me, he wasn't. But I'm with my grandfather. I could always tell. He's like, yeah, this guy's an asshole. What's been remarkable to me is how I am not alone in a story like this.
Oh no, I'm sure.
And how you never saw stories like this in the media.
No.
The entire time he played. Ever.
If Carson Wentz from the Philadelphia Eagles rolled in and knocked a kid over, he would have been like, "Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Let me pick you up. Let me give you a football. Let me sign." And it would have been like a big deal, because if he didn't, it would have been reported to death that Carson Wentz knocked a kid over and didn't say shit and said, "Let's get this fucking shit going."
Well, as I recall, that's the year that John Elway gave that interview to Sports Illustrated saying that he felt suffocated by Denver.
He was.
I get that. I get that. And now we kind of understand a little more about how fame can really alienate these people.
Yeah.
I get that, and I'm sure he's probably bitter. But he's also the golden boy, and he should have expected some of that.
Yeah.
You still can't knock a kid over and not be like, "Oh, hey, buddy, I'm sorry. Let me sign your shirt." Fucking whatever.
It was a strange situation, and I keep thinking about this, and I know a lot of people in the media who were around during that time, and I've always said, why didn't you guys cover? You covered everything about John Elway, including the candy he gave out on Halloween, but you didn't cover the other shit that John Elway did. And that is something that's always stuck with me my entire life. It's like why was one thing covered and
and speaking of things relating to John Elway that were not covered, one of the things that I've uncovered is that John Elway AutoNation USA paid out a $3 million sum to a female worker who worked at the car dealership, and as part of the agreement in her settlement, she would not name the managers involved in her sexual assault and harassment. And one of them was that motherfucker. Dude.
Well, I'm getting to that because I want to lead up to how his behavior and how he's been treated and coddled and given all this attention. But what did they tell you? What did these people tell you? Like Mark Kiszla was probably covering the Broncos at the time. Why would Kiszla? Because obviously Kiszla was probably not in a position to do it. But what was their reasoning for not going, "Hey, this guy's a fucking asshole. He's knocked a kid down, didn't say shit"?
To a man, they all say they acknowledge what John Elway was. I mean, let's face it.
He's banging Kathy Saban, knocking down kids.
Living the life.
Not hard enough, obviously. They're not getting bloodied.
Yeah, exactly. They all acknowledge that there was things that they probably could have said, but they all kind of been like, "Well, what are you going to do?" I mean, literally, it's that. And this is the way I look at this. You had right now in the Broncos organization, you have just a couple of years ago, you had someone in the organization get an extreme DUI. Extreme DUI to where they put him into. Do you know how much you have to be drunk for you to be put in jail if that's your first offense?
Oh yeah,
you have to be unconscious basically,
and hit a cop car, which I think he did.
Which is what he did.
I think he did.
And then he served his sentence at the Arapahoe County Jail, literally just a parking lot away from Dove Valley. And you had that entire summer, you had people getting drunk and getting in trouble. There was another guy in the organization that year got in trouble. It's
so. And I
but
guess
that's when they were winning Super Bowls, though, right?
It's true. As long as you're winning, people are going to fucking look the other way. And this leads up to what you're talking about. You've got this guy who was given everything, was bitter about it, was like, "Fuck you! I hate being scrutinized." And I get it. I totally understand. That's not what you want to. You don't want to live your life like that. It's probably even worse today than it was back then. But you get somebody like that. And then now they're in a position, now we're starting to see the cracks in the facade where you're like, "Oh, yeah, this is a bad guy. This is not a nice guy." Now, granted, John Elway, the football player, fuck, man, I see it in my dreams. It's fucking when the helicopter in the Super Bowl, I see it. It's beautiful. I love it. But as a person, I know he's a bad guy. and it's now showing up in the team, and I think a lot of people don't understand that, and I think it's kind of coming home to roost.
Well, this is what you get, and I think Colin's piece sums this up a bit when he wrote about the ownership. This is why ownership matters.
Absolutely.
And we have none. And we have none. And I want to touch on that because I think it's very important because nobody else is talking about it. And I want to make sure that we do. The Broncos are fucking for sale.
Yeah.
If they are not for sale, they're sold. Right now, it looks to me as though Charlie Ergen of Dish Network is probably the next owner of the Denver Broncos. And I'm not pulling this out of whole cloth, you guys. I have talked to a couple of people that I really trust. And from what I understand, Joe Ellis, who is a member of the Bush family, he's the only he's the only son of the only daughter of George H.W. Bush, and he wants to go to Maine. When he has to deal with Broncos shit, he flies back from fucking Maine to deal with Broncos shit, and he wants out. And the only reason he's here is because the trust hasn't sold the fucking team yet. And Pat Bowlen said, if one of my children is competent, I want them to be in charge of the team. And it's very clear that the trust has decided that none of his children are competent.
What about the blood of Denver? That guy.
Probably not competent. So the next move, it's Mary Kelly, Rich Slivka, and Joe Ellis. They're the trio. 2 out of 3 can approve the sale of the Broncos. There is an offer on the table at $2.6 billion, from what I understand. And this is something you're going to hear about in the national media soon. And I'm very, very grateful to my sources that I have this. And if I sound like a crazy person, just you fucking wait. $2.6 billion is $200 million more than what the Carolina Panthers sold for. The Broncos are worth a lot more money than that. But that's the deal on the table right now. And it's with the founder of Dish Network, and his name is Charlie Ergen.
So
they want out. He's the local guy.
They want out. They're gonna give the money out to the fucking kids and go get the fuck out.
Oh, and it gets worse because right now there's one beneficiary of the entire trust.
How is that possible?
One, and she is responsible for distributing the money amongst her siblings. And so here's what you can count on. The Broncos are going to be sold, and chances are they're going to wait till after the season at this point. The Broncos are sold. Somebody else is going to take over. The money's going to go into one executor's fucking hands, and then you're going to be reading about the battles between the Bowlen kids for years in Westford.
Well, hey, that's fine.
It's going to be awful.
As long as it's out of their hands, I don't give a shit. They can fight over.
And that's where Joe Ellis is at. Is like, that's their problem. It's not mine. I want out. The Bowlen family is dead, guys. Dead and buried. The Bowlen family is no longer going to be the owner of the Broncos. I'm fucking telling you right now. And I have this on good authority. I'm not making this shit up.
I'll tell you this. You guys remember the late 90s. We're talking about from like 97 to 2000.
It's doing a lot of drugs then, Jeff. But I'll try.
The Nuggets and Avalanche were put up for sale by Ascent Communications. And because Comsat, their parent company, wanted nothing to do with owning teams anymore. And that void of ownership, because they went through 4 different owners, it was awful. They couldn't release any money. They couldn't do anything because none of the owners could approve anything. They went through this hell for almost 4 years. The teams the Avalanche were kind of left independent, and they were saved by Air Force One. Money from Air Force One basically financed.
Oh, the movie, yeah.
Financed Pepsi Center and got Joe Sakic his contract.
Yep.
But what happened was that because of all that ownership hell and the void that was left there, it was just awful. And there was a deal on the table with, I think it was Bill Laurie, who was Stan Kroenke's brother-in-law, to buy the team. And he wouldn't commit to keep them in Denver. Neither would Donald Stern, the Denver billionaire who owned it. None of them would commit to keep the team in Denver. The only one who did was Stan Kroenke, and that's the one who sold. But they were a hair's breadth away from being moved to St. Louis.
Crazy.
And it's because of this ownership void, and the Nuggets were actually still, even though the Avalanche were like winning and being very successful.
They were very successful around that time.
All NHL teams lose money hand over fist, even though they're successful. And at least at that time, it was a terrible It was like 75% of the BRI that the
That's before salary cap, too.
Ideally, though, right now the Broncos are still held in this trust, and they basically have said, okay, Joe Ellis, you're going to try to oversee this. John Elway is going to run the team. There's at least a little bit of continuity with that, but
they're hamstrung in the sense that there's nobody who can put his foot down and say, "Fuck this, Vance Joseph is gone." They don't have that guy.
They don't have Pat Bowlen to go.
They don't have Pat Bowlen.
I don't like this
and
guy.
Pat Bowlen never accepted it. I mean, the Broncos have the fewest repeat losing seasons. They have not lost 2 seasons in a row where they had a losing record since 1970.
They're tied with the Houston Rockets with that. The Houston Rockets and the Denver Broncos hold that record.
Yep. And I'll tell you this: this would not be. Let's say, would Paxton Lynch still would this whole bullshit with Paxton Lynch still be going on?
No, not with a big dick owner. No, we need a big dick owner. Whether it's Phil Anschutz or it's Charlie Ergen. Anschutz owns. He's already in the sports biz. He owns the LA Kings and
he owns
the Lakers. He owns Staples Center. He would be perfect too. So we got Charlie Ergen, you got Philip Anschutz. Somebody give these people a couple of $1 billion and get the Bowlen family the fuck out of the way.
Are they gonna? Is Elway out of there?
Elway's gone, and I've heard another rumor, and this is just a rumor. This is not as solid a rumor as the others.
Okay.
Peyton Manning, general manager.
Ooh. Wow. You know what?
Goodbye, Elway. Hello, Peyton.
I would take that. Because I think Peyton Manning, even though
wouldn't you rather have him manage?
I've heard a lot of things about him too, but I think Peyton Manning is smart, and I think he's probably a fairly decent guy, and I would prefer him over John Elway at this point.
Oh my God! I can't believe this is where we are.
Yeah, that's where we are. That's where we are.
I will say this for your listeners: my personal interaction with John Elway influenced my view of him as a human being. I still love him as a player.
It's exactly. Fuck yeah, dude. Look.
Right here. I still love him as a player. So it's easy for me to separate that. I don't know if it's as easy for most of the way he's been covered in Denver by the media. People are kind of like got this view of him.
If he knocked you down, bloodied you, and then walked across your corpse, and you still think you like him as a player, that's impressive.
But will you vote for him for governor?
No.
Fuck no.
Kidding me?
And right now, the rape culture surrounding the Broncos is really disturbing me. The more I learn about how the sausage is made and laid, the less passionate I feel about the upcoming fucking NFL season. And you see Vance Joseph. He should have never been hired. He should have been gone. There's no way that man should be representing our city, our fine city, or a fine team. And you've got the Adam Gotza scandal. You've got the A.J. Johnson scandal, and there's more. And it's just it's fucking sickening to me. We know now as a culture how to better treat women, and the Broncos don't seem to get it.
I've seen you fighting with people about this, and I agree with you. And it's very troubling that they bring all these people.
This
on.
A.J. Johnson kid,
yeah,
I've heard the woman's testimony from court. I heard his accuser's testimony. She's not been identified, but I heard her voice, and she said that he bent her over a chair and covered her mouth with his hand. Now, they had consensual sex twice, which is why he wasn't found fucking guilty, because she had agreed to have sex with him. But then he bent her over a chair, he put his hand over her mouth, and he invited his teammate in to have some too. Because it ain't no fun unless the homie's going to have none. That's the kind of motherfuckers we have here.
Now, that's awful. That's fucking terrible. Now, the point that a lot of people were making to you is that, hey,
he was found not guilty.
Yeah, not guilty. Now, I understand
that. Of course he was found not guilty.
But here's the problem.
No charges were filed.
Here's the problem with the people that were telling you that. They will immediately erase from their memory that he did anything bad because, he didn't do anything. Wasn't found guilty.
Dude.
Now he did a bad thing, and he's a bad guy. That's the problem with these guys who you were talking to is they will never just go, this guy's a fucking piece of shit. They're just like, not guilty. He's one of my Broncos. I love him.
This one guy from Mile High Report told me both of those guys, Gotsis and A.J. Johnson, were falsely accused. So when you say falsely accused, you are pointing a finger at those women and saying you're liars.
No.
And I called it out for that. I was like, so you're telling me that this woman who testified for hours in court and cried her fucking eyes out, the audio is on YouTube, motherfucker. You're going to tell me she falsely accused this guy? She lied? He was found not guilty because they had consensual sex. That does not mean he's not a rapist, and it does not mean she's not a liar.
And I get the whole like, hey, look, he got let go. He's clear. That's why the team, got him. But if you don't add to it, but I feel real fucking dirty rooting for this guy. If you don't add that to it, then you're a piece of shit too. Because you cannot just look the other way at it. I don't know about the Gotsis thing. I haven't looked into it. I don't know.
That seems a little more Kobe-like.
And you know what? And you know what? It happens. There's people get falsely accused all the time. I get it. But if you're presented with a lot of facts, and there was some fucking issues, like what was the guy who when Demaryius Thomas was involved in that?
Oh God, he went to the Niners. He was
he was a fucking piece of shit. And it's like if you don't recognize that this particular person is a piece of shit because you just want your team to be, I want my team to be harmonious, then you suck and you're a bad person because you have to at least acknowledge that. If you've done it, it's fine. We're talking about John Elway. We love John Elway as a player, and that's great. You can separate the person from the sport. I get that. If A.J. Johnson is going to fucking make some tackles and perform, I'll be fine with it. But I know he's a piece of shit, and I know he's a bad person.
It makes it harder for me.
It absolutely.
And to root for this team.
Yeah, but here's the thing: with Vance Joseph and John Elway and adding these people in, the whole thing stinks. And if you're like, hey, this guy has a troubled past, we're giving him a chance, and if it'd be okay if you're like, well, the person who hired him's a good guy, so I guess he's seeing something he likes. But they all got something going on, and they're all the issue. Talking earlier about all the DUIs that happened, all these people into bad shit. There's something that stinks there, and I just don't like it. And I don't think it's going to pan out anytime soon.
And it's not going to be fixed until we get a new owner, because an owner is the guy at the top who puts his foot down and says, "This is our organizational culture," and the organizational culture surrounding the Broncos is fucked.
And I guarantee you, a new owner is going to take one look at Vance Joseph and go, I don't want this motherfucker a year from now having a fucking court case where these women are pressing charges or bringing up the fact that he was climbing into bed with them naked. I don't want that for my team, so we're going to cut him loose.
And if there are any women out there who were victims or know a victim of Vance Joseph, and you're within this sphere hearing this podcast, call me, talk to me, DM me, talk to me, email me. I cannot wait to run your story at southstanddenver.com because I don't give a fuck what the Broncos think of me.
Wow. And we didn't even cover the DMAC stuff, and now he got shadow banned, and no one will admit it, but he did. He got banned. Yeah. Also
reported exclusively.
Absolutely. Listen, this is great. We're gonna leave it on a high fire.
You going to work at the Athletic next week?
I am. By the way, I let me know you guys are going to work at the Athletic.
That's exciting.
I'm not going to write anything. I refuse to write, but I'm going to work.
They'll pay you.
Yeah,
I'll pay you just to be there.
I wouldn't read it anyway.
Yeah, that's it. I wouldn't blame you.
You'll take the job.
Yeah. Exactly. Can I
do
just
Nate Kreckman?
Nate Kreckman's got Easy Street podcasting for the Athletic. That son of a bitch.
He's loaded.
Yeah,
he's loaded, that guy.
Well,
I am so excited about the draft, you guys. I can't wait till Sunday.
Yeah,
we got LA baby. We got Brooke Kale, a couple former. I understand Reno Notaro, the great Reno Notaro, stopping by. We're gonna have Craig Kennicott, so that's gonna be interesting.
Oh, I love that guy.
I know you're excited to meet Craig, and it's going to be a tweet up of magnificent proportions.
It's going to be great. It's going to be at the Pioneer this Sunday at 1 p.m. So if you
want to stop by and just watch,
have some beers.
Little voyeurism.
Could Jeff please come by? Come by and say hi. I'm going to get
28 teams we're drafting. 26 teams.
When I get my trophy for winning the league last year, one of the many, I got a couple other trophies coming too. They're not quite as grand as this. It's got a picture of Chrissy Beck's face on it. She can't stand it. I told her, I said, you can take that picture off when you win the league. She bailed out, so she'll never win the league. And
she's not here this year?
She hasn't been for a couple of years.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna take some great pictures of me licking her face and send it to her. She's gonna love it, and she's gonna know that I'm gonna have that trophy for at least a year, where I can make sweet love to it anytime I want.
That kid's not breastfeeding anymore. She's got no excuse.
Hell no. Yep. So it's gonna be a good time. So if you're around, stop by. Jeff Morton,
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
I always enjoy coming on.
It's always great having you. I hope we let you tell your tale sufficiently.
Yeah. I'm sorry it wasn't as action packed as you remember.
Well, let's try to remember it how I remember it now. That's a little bit better.
I will embellish it next time.
I thought he said like "fuck you" to your grandfather.
I thought he cut him with a Coors bottle.
He knocked him down. He bloodied his head, and then your grandfather went, "Hey man, you knocked my kid down," and he was like, "Fuck
I
off."
remember my grandfather saying, "Hey,
I remember a lot too.
You knocked my grandson down," and he didn't respond. I do remember John anyway sitting down in a huff and saying, "Let's get this."
That's probably how I confused it, or maybe something happened.
See, this would all come forward during the deposition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Governor.
So,
That's
Jeff,
happening.
tell everyone now. You're not writing, but tell everyone where they can find you.
I'm at jmorton78 on Twitter, and you can find me at CSG Podcast.
CSG Podcast. They do a great sports show. They're going to cover a lot of nuggets.
I don't know about great.
Oh, okay.
They do
Wait,
a sports
didn't you have a name for that?
I don't know about they
shit
either.
show of an amateur hour.
That's right. Yeah.
If you guys have listened recently, and I have, I just gotta say, it's only Jeff now, and that's pretty much it, right?
Nate Timmons went off to become a monk, a tattooed monk who works out all the time in the Himalayas. I think, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, Ross started a family, and Nate is now a working man.
Well, hey, family, working man, we all got that. So what the fuck?
I didn't say I'm the only single gay in sports media, so I got to keep the flame going.
I think you gotta flame it up.
I do.
Flame it up. Hey, Jeff, always a pleasure.
Thanks, man.
Anytime, come on back. We love having you. So this has been good.
Gay it up for Jeff.
Gay it up for Jeff. Yeah. No, gay it up for Morton. Wasn't that what it was?
Gay it up for Morton.
I gotta remember that to put it on there. So, hey, everybody, it's been South Stands Denver Fancast. South Stands Live. Thanks for tuning in on YouTube. This has been great. Until next time, adios.
Think about what you're trying to do to me.
Hey, I'm trying to let that set me free.
My favorite scene from Blues Brothers, by the way. Woo! God! Oh, we love you, Denver! You better think about how Elway's ass. Oh, think.
Yeah.
Woo! Think about what you're trying to do.